The beginning of the year is an important time for many. There are new starts and resolutions, but for me, it means it's time to compile a list of my most anticipated horror releases, and I just need to talk about it with somebody. So it's actually really good that you're here right now. Release schedules are obviously subject to change, but all of the movies I'm talking about today, to the best of my knowledge, are set to screen or stream sometime this year. I'm happy to say I have a fairly hefty lineup, so let's just get into it and start with films that are supposed to be out this January. Sam Raimi's horror comedy Send Help is up first. The star-studded cast of Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien, that overdone deserted island horror actually kind of catches my eye. An employee and her boss get stranded on an island after their plane crashes, and it seems to be more of a battle between the pair than a battle against the elements. Night Patrol starring Justin Long is next. This movie follows a police officer who discovers a local task force may or may not be made up of vampires, and concerned for the neighborhood he grew up in, our main character turns to local street gangs for help. Okay, now we have Iron Lung, which is a highly anticipated movie in general this year. And I'm going to be brave with you guys and admit that I don't and have never watched Markiplier, nor am I usually a big fan of sci-fi horror. That said, I'm almost always down to support a YouTuber having a chance to make a horror film. And I heard a rumor that this may or may not beat a record for the most blood used in a horror movie, or a movie in general, which very much interests me. Iron Lung is a movie adaptation based off a video game with the same name. It's set in a desolate, post-apocalyptic version of space, and our main character is sent to explore this planet that is supposed to be covered by an ocean of blood using only his rundown submarine. We're on to the film Sleepwalker now, which stars Hayden Panettiere. It follows a mother grieving the loss of her daughter and her now comatose husband after a car accident. As she struggles to cope, our main character experiences sleepwalking episodes and nightmarish visions that have her doubting reality. Dooba Dooba is our next film, which has technically been on the festival circuit for some time now, but is set for a wide release in the US later this January. Dooba Dooba is found footage style horror from the POV of in-home security cameras. It centers around a babysitter whose usual gig turns out to be a lot more than she expected when she learns that the kid she'll be watching is a highly traumatized 16-year-old girl who has no intention of making the night go smoothly. Next up is Mother Flies, which is a folk horror set for digital release through Shudder. This movie looks very atmospheric from the short bits of trailer I have seen, but like a lot of films on this list, I don't have a lot of information on it, other than it follows a terminally ill woman seeking treatment through a witch who practices dark magic. This one looks really interesting to me, just the poster alone. And also, I don't know why, but all I can think about is the witch that Merida visits in Brave that like turns her mom into a bear. Something tells me the story won't be too far off, which honestly kind of sells me. Next on my list is Whistle, which I personally have been highly anticipating since Sophie and Elise started promoting it online. Admittedly, it sounds like a bit of a B-movie slash popcorn thriller, but I'm just excited to see Shauna outside of the Canadian Rockies. Whistle follows a group of high schoolers that come across an Aztec death whistle, and the whistle's pitch emits a sound which, quote, will invoke their future deaths to hunt them down. And it's up to the group to try to put a stop to their Final Destination cameos. Now we have a movie called Psycho Killer, which follows Barbarian's very own Georgina Campbell. This one follows a highway patrol officer in the aftermath of her husband's murder. They quickly learn that it's now her life's mission to track down the perpetrator, and as she gets closer to the subject, she learns that he is a sadistic serial killer that turns out to be more horrifying than anyone could have imagined. Next we have Cold Storage, which is a horror comedy starring Joe Keery and Georgina Campbell again. Cold Storage is basically just the night shift from hell. So a contagious fungus escapes a sealed government facility located directly under the storage facility that is employing our two main characters. It quickly becomes quite the dire situation, as you can expect, and our employees are left to save themselves and humanity if they can. We have yet another horror comedy with the movie They Will Kill You. This one follows a housekeeper seeking employment who stumbles across the wrong doorstep. More specifically, she finds a job at a high-rise residence that has seen a number of disappearances over the years that are rumored to be connected to some satanic cult activity. The next one I'm especially excited for. It's a A24 release that is rumored to be quite chilling. Allegedly. Undertone is about a horror podcaster that receives a set of disturbing tapes and goes through them shortly after moving in with her ill mother. As our main character makes her way through the tapes, she starts to notice that the story mimics her own reality, and this slowly starts leading her into a downward spiral. Tinsman Road is another film that I am really excited for. It's a found footage film that follows our main character's missing sister that takes place in the backwoods of rural New Jersey. As somebody who's lived in rural-ass New Jersey, Let me tell you, that is the place for a horror movie. There's not much online about this one yet except for reviews, which feel free to look them up. I'm just trying to not spoil it for myself, honestly. What we do know is that this movie has a near 2-hour runtime, and paired with the term found footage, that tends to worry me a bit, but I'm still willing to give it a shot, especially seeing as IMDb's plot keywords consist of things like camping, 2000s, murder, and camcorder found footage horror. All to say, this one might actually spook me, which is exciting. The setting and a little bit of plot that we do know interests me, so if it's good, get ready to be annoyed because I'm not going to shut up about it. We have another highly anticipated movie on my list, which I'm fully expecting to be hit or miss, but hey, I'll be sad. They'll have my money anyways. The movie Forbidden Fruits is a horror comedy based on a play, which again has a cast that definitely caught my eye. We have Lily Reinhart, Gabrielle Union, Lola Tung, and oh yeah, Emma Chamberlain? I was buying mid-glossier lip balm and convinced my parents that I needed that weird Swedish book bag for like school children because of her, so I'm just hoping that Miss Emma delivers. Anyways, so the actual plot is about a group of ladies with fruit names who work at a quote, witchy femme cult in the basement of the mall store that they all work at. Then a girl named Pumpkin gets hired and again, quote, challenges their performative sisterhood. The women are forced to face their own poisons or succumb to a bloody fate. Sorry guys, I don't usually try to just reiterate exactly what is already online, but with no context, I'm having a really hard time trying to put all of that into my own words. Long story short, I am excited as hell to see this one, and I also can't wait to take my sisters with me. I think we will all find it quite enjoyable. Next up is Mother Mary, which is a horror musical taking place on the eve of our main character's comeback performance as a pop star. She reunites with her ex-costume designer slash best friend, and I have a feeling that things might not go so well. I'm not usually one for musicals, even horror musicals, but a cast of Anne Hathaway, Hunter Schafer, and FKA Twigs is enough to interest me. Hokum is next on my list, and it's a witch film, so be prepared if you're a folk horror hater. Hokum follows a horror novelist who follows an inn that's rumored to be haunted by a witch to spread his parents' ashes. I recently watched this director's first film, I believe, Oddity, and it didn't blow me away, but the film had enough groundwork that I could definitely see this director making something incredible. And I'd be very happy if Hokum ends up being that for me. It has all the moving pieces that I usually enjoy in a horror story. Obsession's been making its way through festival circus, but it's finally set for a theatrical release this May. There's a fantasy element in this film described as the One Wish Willow, which our main character ends up going against or breaking somehow, an attempt to win over his crush. I have no idea how metaphorical this will all be, but this clearly comes with quite the caveat, and things do not go well for our main character. He's supposed to get exactly what he wished for, though. This next movie, Shuteye, has little to no information I can find about it online except for the description. A student researching sleep paralysis slips into a lucid nightmare. It's the 90-minute horror film that's set to release May 2026 in Canada, so I'll let you guys know. I'll keep you updated if I can actually see this one or not. I will say sleep horror can sometimes be rather corny, but if it's done well and leans more liminal, I will be more than happy to check it out. Evil Dead Burn is the next installment in the Evil Dead series, and though the plot has not been released yet, we're told that Evil Dead Burn may be the least bloody installment of the franchise, but quote, is undoubtedly the most violent and brutal. The director says this film will revolve around a young French woman in America and have an emphasis on fire, if the name doesn't give it away or anything. He mentions an insistence on practical effects, which I always love to hear, and he also talks about how that added a lot of texture and light play on screen. And I'm sure this may not be everybody's opinion, but Evil Dead is one of the only franchises out there that are still producing spin-offs or what have you, and I feel like are not doing so for purely financial reasons. 3 films since 2013 does not feel bad in comparison to something like Scream. Sam Raimi is also back as producer on this one, so I'll be seated. Backrooms is another film on this list from a YouTube alumni, Kane Parsons, or Kane Pixels. He's a now 20-year-old visual effects artist that's gained popularity through his Backrooms series uploaded here on YouTube. This movie has been picked up by A24 and is rumored to be about a therapist who follows his patient into the backrooms slowly after his disappearance. Now we have the movie Other Mommy, which is a film adaptation of the book Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. It's about a little girl who's haunted by this presence she refers to as Other Mommy, and it drives a wedge between her and her family as this other mommy tries to convince this little girl to let her in. I haven't read this book personally, I have heard of it though. I will say I kind of have a hard time reading through child POVs. I will admit though, we have a plethora of amazing child actors that have recently made their way into the world of horror. I'm thinking Jonah Wren Phillips and Cora Wong from Bring Her Back, Harry Christopher from Weapons, Piper Rubio from FNAF, like, the list could go on. I don't know what's in the water nowadays, but I think the kids are gonna be alright. Anyways, not my usual vibe, but the description reminds me of a movie that I do like, Mama. So I think it's just gonna be up to you guys. If you've read this one, please let me know if I'm getting my hopes up for nothing. Now we're on to movies that we kind of literally don't know anything about except for they're supposed to be released this year. Or the information that we do know is that this movie is currently stuck somewhere within distribution purgatory. Up first is unfortunately one of those that are stuck in purgatory, and that is the movie Soulmate. Soulmate is about a man who purchases a robot or an artificially intelligent android in an attempt to cope with the recent passing of his wife. An attempt to make the robot more sentient and lifelike, our main character accidentally, quote, turns a harmless love bot into a deadly soulmate. Next up is Relapse, which follows a young man trying to get sober after witnessing a horrific death at a party he attended. While our main character seems to be on the right path, he still feels unwell and eventually starts using again. This time, a presence starts to show up and reveals himself as the monster that our main character claims has been haunting him for years. And this is paired with his therapist attempting to treat him because he thinks that this monster is in his head. This plot sounds captivating to say the least, and I wonder how they're going to portray the monster in this movie, or if the therapist is right. Pendulum is another movie on my list that is seemingly playing off of a more modern horror scenario, that being a new age predatory spiritual retreat. Our main characters are a married couple seeking treatment after going through a traumatic event, and they find themselves lured into a fancy spiritual retreat that quickly starts to win over the wife. It's up to the couple to decipher if they found a holistic healing solution or sinister practice preying on the vulnerable. Next, we have an upcoming film from James Rodriguez, more commonly known as a fake psychic detective. The upcoming movie, The Rule of Three, is about three women struggling to alter the trajectory of their lives as an urban legend haunts them. It's supposed to be a horror/thriller and a first of a trilogy, which is definitely interesting. And I'm gonna be honest, I love Psych. I think James Roday is a very talented actor. But the track record for his horror releases seem to be a bit lacking. I might not be watching this one in theaters, but I still will check it out and give it a fair shot. Next up is actually a reboot. We have Thread, the Insidious Tale. Yes, you heard me right. The Insidious franchise is coming back with a spin-off that is following a couple after the passing of their daughter. In an attempt to go back and prevent this fatal outcome, the couple seek help of a spell, which surprisingly doesn't go well. We have another reboot this time, but calling back to a much older film, and that is Faces of Death. The original movie is not highly rated whatsoever. It mainly focuses on many ways a human can die through a mockumentary format, though most of the discussion around this film has to do with the fact that the original film has some real footage of said deaths. Needless to say, I'm personally not going to put on the original before catching this new movie. The remake, however, takes a modern turn, placing our main character as a moderator who has discovered a snuff ring on the site that they use. It then follows our main character as they try to decipher if these videos are gruesome recreations or real tragedies. Similar to Faces of Death, this upcoming film Monitor follows social media moderators, but this time we have a group who come across a disturbing video that they refuse to release. This decision leads to some sort of demonic presence hunting down the group members in an attempt to get this mysterious video publicized. And finally, we're at the end of my list with Jane Schoenbrun's third feature-length horror film that's currently titled Teenage Death and Sex at Camp Miasma. This movie follows a queer filmmaker who has recently been hired on to direct a long-running series of slasher films called Camp Miasma. She becomes insistent on hiring the original actor back for her rendition of A Final Girl. From there, this newfound director and seclusive actor, quote, send into a frenzy of psychosexual mania. I've liked every film I've seen from this director. I think each one has been a step up from the last, so I'm impatiently awaiting this next movie. And there we go. I hope I could give y'all some exciting news, something I'm sure we could all use a little bit of right now. If you're like me, 2026 has already been off to a rocky start, but upcoming media, whether it be films or TV or books, I find truly do help me get through the year. It's just a little reminder that there's something to look forward to. Which admittedly sounds like quite the understatement considering all of the movies I just listed out for y'all. Let me know if there's anything on your 2026 horror radar that I might have missed. And if I shared anything that you're looking forward to, I'd love to hear about it. Thank you for being here. I will see you soon.